When the counterculture movement started in the 1960s, it gave birth to a surplus of cool leading men on cinema screens. From John Travolta to Bruce Lee, there were no shortage of remarkable men on the screen during the decade, and we'll be looking at some of the coolest from that decade in this video. Join Factsverse as we explore the coolest leading men of the 60s. John Travolta. During the early days of his Hollywood career, John Travolta found himself typecast in the role of a cool guy. Of course, this didn't turn out to be a very bad fate for the burgeoning actor. John got his start performing on the sitcom Welcome Back, Kotter before transitioning into iconic film roles. His two most memorable performances were in the films Grease and Saturday Night Fever, both of which premiered in the late 70s. Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman acted in Hollywood for around half a century before eventually calling it quits to pursue a career as a novelist. The beloved actor now peacefully writes in his own free time and has released several acclaimed novels since giving up acting. Gene rose to prominence after appearing in 1967's Bonnie and Clyde. He played Buck Barrow. After this breakout performance, he went on to appear in several successful features in an even larger capacity. Some of his biggest hits have included The French Connection, Hoosiers, and the original Superman. Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is equally known on the screen as a cartoonish psychopath and a laid-back cool guy. Although his energetic and larger-than-life performances in films like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Shining, and Batman may be his most memorable, the actor's turns as more mellow characters, like a retired astronaut in James L. Brooks's Terms of Endearment, have proven his range. Nicholson has appeared in an immense number of films over the course of his career, though nowadays he lays low. Some of the actor's biggest hits, besides the ones we mentioned, include As Good as It Gets and The Witches of Eastwick. Jack is also known for his art collection. He's a connoisseur of fine art and is said to have a collection that matches those found at some world-class museums. He's also been a Lakers season ticket holder since 1970. Gregory Peck. Besides being one of the biggest Hollywood stars of his day, Gregory Peck has also garnered a reputation as being one of the industry's preeminent activists of the Golden Age. When many of the actor's peers were being blacklisted for supposed communist affiliations in the 40s, Gregory used his clout in the industry to do something about it. His support of his comrades during the 1940s wasn't the actor's last brush with politics. He became more and more interested in his various causes as he got older, and even considered running against Ronald Reagan as governor of California during the 70s. In later years, Gregory was an incredibly outspoken protester of the Vietnam War. He was such an outspoken detractor that President Nixon was said to have placed the actor on his list of enemies. Michael Caine. Although people might not think of Michael Caine as being cool nowadays, he was certainly one of the coolest actors around during the 60s. The actor has since become the epitome of class thanks to his turns as characters such as Batman's butler Alfred in The Dark Knight, but he got his start playing cool guys in films like 1969's The Italian Job. Jon Voight. Jon Voight is another actor who became known separately for his persona in later life than his more early days as a Hollywood cool guy. Although modern audiences will most likely think of Jon Voight in his multiple villainous roles, the actor got his start playing a cool guy in films like Midnight Cowboy. Some of his biggest hits have also included Deliverance and Coming Home. James Caan. James Caan broke onto the scene portraying Sonny Corleone in The Godfather. The film went on to become an even bigger success than the novel that inspired it, leading to a massive career for its stars, including Caan. Although James Caan has certainly made a name for himself as a Hollywood actor, he's an equally passionate martial artist. The actor has practiced karate for several decades, becoming a master. Robert Redford. Robert Redford is another classic film star who has developed a reputation as being a bit of a cool guy, and much of this stems from his performance in the 1970 feature Little Faust and Big Halsey. The film cast Robert as a motorcycle racer, and the image of Robert on his bike solidified the actor as one of the coolest of his generation. Paul Newman. If Redford looked cool on his motorcycle, Paul Newman looked even cooler when he was driving his race car. Paul started racing cars in the 70s, though he would register for races under an alias so as not to allow his celebrity status to distract from his skills as a racer. Over the course of his career, he won 4 separate national championships. In 1995, Paul became the oldest driver ever to participate in a sanctioned race as part of the winning team. He was 70 at the time. Sidney Poitier. Besides being known for his confident and poised demeanor, Sidney Poitier has risen to the status of a Hollywood legend thanks to the fact that he became the first black performer to win an Academy Award for Best Actor. He won the award in 1964 for his role in the film Lilies of the Field. He can also be seen in classic films like In the Heat of the Night and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Later in the actor's career, he shifted his focus towards directing feature films, and in 1974, Queen Elizabeth II knighted the beloved actor. David Bowie. Although David Bowie may be best known as one of the most popular and most influential musical artists that have ever lived, he was also a fairly prolific movie star. He made his breakout film performance in the strange Nicholas Roeg feature, The Man Who Fell to Earth. He played an alien not dissimilar from the character of Ziggy Stardust. After David's acclaimed performance in the cult film The Man Who Fell to Earth, he continued acting. Another of his notable feature roles was in Jim Henson's fantasy feature Labyrinth. Al Pacino may be best known as one of the most respected actors of his generation, but he's also known as a bit of a womanizer. Al has notoriously never been married, though he has several children and has been romantically linked to several different women in his career. Some of those women include Beverly D'Angelo, Diane Keaton, and Kathleen Quinlan. Burt Lancaster. Burt Lancaster is an actor who found himself typecast in a variety of tough guy roles in his early career, though he later tried to branch out and perform as more complex and lighthearted characters when given the chance. One of the actor's most memorable roles was starring alongside Audrey Hepburn in The Unforgiven. Over the course of his career, he was nominated for an Academy Award 4 separate times, but he only won once before his 1994 death for his performance in the film Elmer Gantry. Ryan O'Neal. Ryan O'Neal was merely a soap opera star when he was offered the opportunity to appear in the 1970 feature Love Story. He was hesitant at first, but eventually decided taking the role was a good choice for his career. His instinct proved correct, as Ryan was thrust into superstardom thanks to this role. He subsequently appeared in a variety of other memorable features over the course of the decade, including Paper Moon and Barry Lyndon. Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen was so cool during the height of his fame that his performances even saw him being nicknamed the King of Cool by his fans. The actor was often cast in the role of a tough anti-hero, and it wasn't hard for the counterculture audience of the 60s and 70s to relate to his on-screen persona. Some of his most memorable films included The Great Escape and The Magnificent Seven. Before his death in 1980, there was a period where Steve McQueen was the highest-paid actor in the world. Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is widely regarded as being the figure who made martial arts popular in American cinema. He burst onto the scene with his martial arts films during the 60s and 70s, though he only performed in a handful of films before his untimely death in his early 30s. Besides that, he was also a writer and director. He wrote and directed one of his most iconic films, The Way of the Dragon. That film also featured Chuck Norris in an early role. Sadly, Bruce Lee passed away while filming The Game of Death. Now it's time to hear from you. Comment down below to share if there's an actor you think should have been included in this video. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.